Welcome to Ripke Studios guest musician feature number 2. My guest today, Mr. John Churchville. Hi, John.
Hey, Dan. How's it going?
It's going great. Are you ready for some questions?
I'm ready. Hit me.
We're going to ask some questions to reveal the inner world of performing musicians. All right, question number 1. Can you tell me who some of your main musical influences are?
Oh, I've been thinking about this quite a bit actually, as I've been going through and just listening to old stuff, looking at old pictures. I've been reminiscing quite a bit. So I was influenced on the drum set early on by the Meters, by Parliament Funkadelic, by Maceo Parker. Some of the work that Maceo Parker did. He has this album called Life on Planet Groove. And the drummer is Kenwood Denard, and he does this this duet with a drum set and saxophone, and they just bring the house down. And that was an amazing moving experience for me. The kid Rob Parkinen, who was in my same grade, who had a red drum set, I had a black drum set. He was totally inspired me to play, and we did our first public performance at our middle school talent show. So you can't forget about those influences that are right next to you. Lately I've been really influenced by the elders that I've been able to play with, like Mad Cat Ruth. Just the way he approaches coming to the gig, and all of the preparation he puts into every single gig, no matter what it is. That's been a huge influence on me. But I'm getting all over not just the music, but also the professionalism too.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Well, it all combines together.
Yeah.
Some of these questions will be quick fire questions you can answer quickly. Some you can elaborate on. Whatever you feel like doing is fine. I'm just going to let you answer. But this one is probably a quick fire question. What was your first concert?
Yeah. My first concert, I was actually. I was there because I was an athlete. It was for the Michigan State Games. Michigan used to have this Olympic-like event. It was called the Michigan State Games. And one year it was in my hometown, Marquette, Michigan. And because it was coming to our hometown, the local BMX track, I used to race bikes. We all were had to form a team. And so we were athletes competing in the state games. So anyway, the opening ceremonies was like the first concert I ever got to see. We paraded in, there was music going on, and we did the parade, and we walked in we had our BMX flag that we made, and went into the field. It was in the middle of a big field. There was maybe like 5,000 people there. It was a pretty big event. And headliner, a guy I never heard of, but I always remember, Mr. Richard Marks. It was like the beginning of the summer. It was right before his song Right Here Waiting for You went number 1 for weeks and weeks and weeks. And I remember him playing that song, and everyone was just like swaying, and it was the first time I'd ever experienced lighters. Okay. Like a slow song came, and suddenly all these people are lighting lighters, and I'm like, what's going on? And it was that was memorable. That was quite memorable.
So probably, in addition to the musicians you mentioned earlier, Richard Marx would be a huge influence on you.
You know what his influence on me is? Because I think about that show from time to time, is the way that he began it. It was like, it was in my hometown, on a field that I played in and stuff. So it was like it was on my home turf, and it was like suddenly became transformed because the whole stage went dark. It was dark out, and the whole stage went black. And when you have all these bright lights and then suddenly they go out, then you can't, you kind of can't see what's going on. And so the stage was just black. And then suddenly you just hear a and Richard Marx did that motion. He hit his chest and his hand came out like that, and the light shined on him like a spotlight, and it was just like explosion, and then the band started. And so yeah, influenced, heck yeah, I was influenced by that. Um, and then it was cool that this guy that came to Marquette and played a show was now #1 on the Billboard charts and everything with that song. But
Yeah, and they probably rehearsed that beginning of the show many times.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, what was your last concert?
You mean the last one
Last one you went to? Yeah.
that I went to? Anjali Cujo. She came to. It was a UMS show. I went with Jody, with my wife. We had a date night, and it was cool. It was at the Michigan Theater in Ann Arbor, and it was really nice, really kind of it was a cool project, an interesting project, because she was, the Talking Heads. I don't remember the name of the album off the top of my head right now, but the Talking Heads had an album that was influenced by Fela Kuti, and they acknowledged that in the liner notes of the album, like, this whole album is influenced by the music of Fela Kuti. Well, she took that album and she was performing that whole album for this concert, and back in kind of the style of Fela Kuti with these musicians and stuff. So the only thing that was, for me as a musician, I appreciated the project and what went into it, and the idea I just love. It's like this cross currents of culture. But as a musician, all the musicians were playing to tracks the whole night.
Oh, okay.
So, they pressed play on the computer. The drummer had this computer right here, and he would press play, and then they would play to the tracks. And so, immediately as a musician, I know that, okay, everything here is scripted. We have no moments of spontaneity going on.
Right, yeah.
But they did, I got to say, though, the two drummers, there was a hand drummer and a drum set player, and they had a conversation. There was no tracks going on. They just did a solo thing, and that was the highlight of the night for me as the drummer. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Can you tell me one of your favorite albums? Now, for the kids out there, albums are like, they used to be records and tapes.
Look, I got one sitting right
There
here.
we go. Yeah. It's just a collection of music. Joe's Garage.
Yeah, Joe's Garage.
Yep.
Frank Zappa in blackface. Hey, why and why not? I don't know. So my favorite albums. I mentioned him earlier. This was one album I absolutely fell in love with, was Maceo Parker's Southern Exposure. The horns on there, it was a whole album that he did with a horn group from New Orleans, and they did this piece, Mercy Mercy Mercy, just amazing. It was I memorized all the solos on it. I can sing them to this day. I was actually thinking about doing a project with that album, because there's this song, Mercy Mercy Mercy, and I know the solo. I listened to it so many times. I know every solo in the song. I can sing it for you. And I was thinking about translating that to tabla and playing all the solos on tabla while the track is playing. That was a duet I had thought about doing. So that album was definitely for musically life-changing for me.
Cool.
Really steered me in a direction, showed me how cool music can be.
And that's one of those reasons I ask these questions. I do not know that album, and now I have something new I can go out and search out and listen to, and that'll lead me to other things I can listen to as well. We're going to cease the conversation for a little bit and take a sonic adventure, and we're going to hear and see this awesome performance featuring Mr. John Churchville.
Thanks, Dan.
All right.
exciting.